Welcome, y'all, to the Seeds Storyteller Series with my soul sister, Sarah Ray. Thank you for joining us. So glad you're here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Yeah. So for those that are brand new to me and what the Seed Storyteller Series is, I just want to tell you a little bit about what to expect and how long this is going to last. And please stick with us for 45 minutes. We'll wrap up at 1:15 and we invite you to lean in. And yes, this story is all about holding the microphone up to this sister that I have so much love and respect for, Sarah Ray, and her work bringing poverty alleviation through business skills to folks that are struggling in the world. And the reason that I love what she is doing, because is at the heart of what she is doing is all about freedom and abundance and love for all. So if business training or people experiencing poverty or things going on outside of the United States is a foreign sort of concept to you, lean in, because what she is talking about is so crucial and central to, I think, to our global human family. And I think who she is will inspire and ignite you to be a part of this in perhaps a brand new way. So we're going to have some soul care with a place of pause. We're going to have some really amazing storytelling with who she is and who she's serving and why she's doing it and how we can be a part. So it'll be very practical and tangible and inspirational. So Sarah, tell us where you're coming to us from.
I am sitting in Woodland Park, Colorado. So for those who don't know where that is, it's west of Colorado Springs, up in the mountains in a small little town that I have had the privilege of living in for 15 years. And we love this community.
Yeah. So cool. Well, wherever you are joining us from, we have folks coming in from around the world. We just want you to feel welcome. We want you to feel that we really have intended and we've been planning for our conversation and hoping that our conversation meets each and every person that is listening live and on the replay and really speaks to your heart, your mind, your spirit, your life. So just for a quick context, my name is Sarah Davison-Tracy, and I'm an author, a speaker, and founder of Seeds of Exchange. And in all of these things, my love, my passion is to create, fuel, ignite a community of people that are really committed to making a difference in their homes, in their neighborhoods, in the world, and to find ways to do that together. Because not only is it more fun, but I just don't think it's possible otherwise. So we just create tangible ways to do that through storytelling, through building community, through fundraising, through the Seeds Storyteller Series. And I started this because I have this treasure trove of brothers and sisters around the world that are up to amazing things, that are everyday change makers, that inspire me every day. And I just thought, man, I want to be able to share Sarah Ray with y'all. I want to be able to really practically find our stories and the stories of one another. So that's where the Seeds Storyteller Series was birthed and what brings us here together today. And so what we're going to do is start our conversation, as we always do, with a place of pause. And we call these pops. And the reason that I start these storyteller series with these pops is because sometimes the stories take us to places where there is great challenge, great sorrow, great sadness, great struggle. Or sometimes our own individual lives have that thread of texture in them. Or for those that are celebrating Christmas, it can be a really beautiful season, but a really crazily frenetic one. And so however this place of pause speaks to you, meets you, that's why we do it. And I believe we need it to find our way in life. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, Live Ablaze. And if you can, I invite you to just kind of settle into your seat. If it would feel good to close your eyes and just kind of take a breath and relax. The place of pause always starts with be still or surrender. Take this moment, whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you find yourself, and just be. This is not the time to do, think, plan, strategize, consider. Just breathe and relax. Be still and be loved. And the second part of a pop is to ponder. So as I was preparing for Sarah and my conversation today, this piece came to mind to share with y'all. Vocations for all. There is an energy, a trumpet call that beckons you to rise, to be kindled, and to be set aglow from within and by those around you. Here, let's explore what I call vocations for all. These vocations, ways of life, beckon all of us. They are simple ways for you to think, speak, and do in the midst of your day-to-day life of work and relationships. So invite these stories to elevate, morph, ignite your vision for your day-to-day life and inform and inspire your next steps. And that brings us to my sister, Sarah Ray. She's going to share a story from her morning that connects with the need for a place of pause.
Yes. So this morning didn't go according to plan, which I think mornings have a way of doing that.
Right?
I was getting ready to take my son to school and I couldn't find my car keys anywhere. So I trudge out in the snow, and of course they are sitting on the passenger seat of my car, which is locked up tight. And I don't have a spare key. I've tried 3 times to get one and I can't ever get one. So my husband had already left for work and was an hour away, and I called AAA, thankfully have AAA, and they were sending a locksmith on the way. He was supposed to get here at 8:45 and he was not here still at 9:30, and I was supposed to be on the call with Sarah at 9:40. So I was feeling chaotic and stressed, and meanwhile my 4-year-old is terrorizing the dog and running back and forth all over the house, so I can't gather my thoughts. And I was like, I need to put this chaos and stress and anxiety aside to be able to be present with you all today. And so I did put my son in front of TV. That wasn't the pace of pause. But then I took a moment and I just became still, as Sarah just said. I took a deep, deep breath down into the bottom of my belly. And I just asked myself, what am I feeling right now? What emotions am I carrying? What is holding me captive right now? And I felt stress, and I felt chaos, and I felt anxiety. And so I just decided to release those things. This is a practice that I have pretty regularly, just to release those things out loud. I confessed out loud that this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling a lack of peace. I'm feeling like this morning did not go the way that I had planned. And I'm not happy about that. And I was feeling sad about that too. So I just acknowledged all the feelings I had in my body and where they were, and confessed them out loud and released them to God, or you can release them to a higher power or to the universe, to the space around you, but getting them out of your body and acknowledging that they are there in the first place, instead of carrying them and continuing to hold them when they're not serving the moment. And so that was my practice, and my place of pause this morning was to release those negative feelings in that negative energy space, and to free myself from them, and then to take another deep breath and sit down with a cup of tea and be present in this moment.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And for those of you that are just joining us, this is the Seeds Storyteller Series with Sarah Ray, and we are talking about her passion, her purpose, her work to really serve and to love people who are experiencing poverty through offering this business training, business skills training that she has created, these toolkits, these curriculums that she takes around the world and sits with people in circles and really helps bring flourishing, brings abundance, freedom, connection among the community. And the reason that I wanted to share her with y'all is I really want you to hear who she's serving and what she's up to, but also we're going to talk a little bit about some of the steps that have brought her into this work, because it's always a journey and we're always making our way together. And so for those that are just in the middle of making your way and not sure exactly what's next in your life, I hope and believe that you'll really be inspired by some of the steps that my sister Sarah has taken. So welcome, y'all, and we're so glad that you're here. There are no accidents. So if you are here with us live or on the replay, it's the stuff of destiny. So really lean in and be on the lookout for what nugget, what seed is meant to be planted in your heart, in your story today. So Sarah, will you share a little bit about what it is that you do? And who it is that you are so passionate about loving and serving in the world.
Sure. Yeah, I love getting to talk about this. I say all the time that I'm kind of an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't intend to get into business in any capacity, really. I have a religious studies degree and a Spanish minor, and I thought I would be a youth worker most of my life because that's what I enjoyed doing the most in college. And so lo and behold, I was just as surprised as anyone to find that this is the career path that I am on and so passionate about. And what that looks like is I have this gift of getting to partner with amazing human beings, many of which are mutual friends of Sarah, Davison-Tracy, and I, that are doing just phenomenal, compassionate, healing, freedom work all around the world. And as a part of their work, serving some of the most marginalized communities or those living and experiencing poverty or injustice in some way, they are often looking for more like a more sustainable way for people to exit poverty or to exit undignified labor, or ways to keep people from being so much at risk through unsafe migration or just the things that poverty breeds, frankly. Yep. And so they are looking for a way to teach people to start business or to find a way to have dignified work opportunity. And that's where I've gotten to intersect with them most regularly over the past 10 years or so. And so I've found that I love to write and I love to communicate. And I've been raised in this really fun tradition, some of you might know, called Young Life, which is a part of my journey and my faith story. But Young Life has a unique way of communicating with high school kids. And they use humor and games and play as a way of connecting with kids' hearts. And they're very relational. And so I borrowed some of this training from Young Life over the past that I've been fortunate to be trained up in, and incorporated that with business training materials. So the material I write is like a college 101 kind of level of material, which is funny because that's the only class I ever took in college in business. And so it's college 101 material, and it's geared at becoming accessible to those who have very low levels of education in a formal sense that are living in developing communities around the world. So the material incorporates humor, it incorporates games, it incorporates identity and a seeking of purpose, as a way of making it accessible to those who might otherwise disqualify themselves from thinking that they could be a businessman or a businesswoman, or they could learn college level material. And so we use these tools to kind of reach out and help connect with them. So I've written a variety of different pieces of material that some of it's based on finding out our identity and our purpose. Who have we been created to be? What are we passionate about? What are the gifts that we're meant to offer the world? And then how does that intersect with the different needs that we experience in our communities? And when we pair those passions with those needs in the community, oftentimes there's a place for business to come in and to offer a valuable good or a service that can transform that community in some way or another, while providing for the livelihood of the person who's owning and beginning the business. So we kind of start there, but then we also have lots of other tools that we teach that are very practical, everything from where to source startup capital, how to think about budgets, how to market your business, how to give really good quality people-focused customer care, and how we can love people through the way that we care for them in business. And then what to do once we start making money. What are we supposed to do with that? How are we supposed to steward that? How are we supposed to use that to benefit others through generosity around us? How do we use that to plan for the future of our family? And then as our business grows, how can we grow in our own leadership and management skills to be able to take on personnel and create jobs and care for those people well in many ways, and cultivate them and their personal development and their gifts and skills that they're meant to offer to the world. So it's kind of a funny thing, because I really just see business as a tool. It's something that frankly I was very bored by at one point in my life. And so that's why I'm just amazed that I get to be a part of this work. But it's really just a tool to connect with people. And one of the many ways I think that others can experience freedom in their lives, by experiencing more financial freedom, and also just the liberty to pursue the things that they're really uniquely gifted to be doing in the world, by giving them the tools and skills and encouragement I think they need to step out and pursue some of those things.
Amazing. And I have actually been in one of the curriculum trainings that you created, was it like 5 or so years ago, on how to bring business training, business tools into the developing world. And I just remembered being like having goosebumps the whole time at just the good news of just saying everyone has the dignified right to be able to, put food on the table and have a safe place to live, and to make money to do those things in a way that brings joy and that makes the community better. And so what you have crafted is so wholly beautiful. It's just holistic and incredible. And I'm so excited to see what's coming next, because I know, so share, because I do want you to share a little bit about what you're going to be doing in Uganda with our mutual soul sister, Brandy Lee, with Beauty for Ashes Uganda. But before you do that, would you share a little bit, one or two of your favorite stories of a person or a community that you just saw the transformation that you've always dreamed of kind of coming about within this experience that you've helped create for people? Could you give a little practical story?
Yeah, I'll just start with the community that was really the inspiration for even stepping out in this to begin with. After I finished university, I took about a year and traveled around the world and spent 5 months in East Africa. And the first place I landed was in Uganda. And I've gotten to travel back there several times. And I just love my friends and community there. They've taught me so much. So this one community in the north was kind of founded by a Ugandan man and his wife, Richard and Susan, who are dear friends. And they are such visionary people. They found out about the Lord's Resistance Army in the north and how many of their brothers and sisters were being displaced and really brutalized through that civil war. And so they opened up 500 acres of their own family land near to the war zone, but not in a dangerous place. It was kind of in a just far enough away to be safe. And they allowed families to come and resettle that were seeking refuge and needed to start life over. And it became this just very beautiful group of men and women who were farming cooperatively and helping raise each other's homes and children, and really learning to rebuild life together in a place of peace. And when we visited that community, my friends were really just getting started. And so the men and women that they were serving had just walked hundreds of kilometers with children tied to their back. They were sick, they were hungry, they had lost children and husbands and wives in the conflict, and they were having to build their own homes out of nothing and dig their own food out of nothing. And so when we met them, our hearts were broken. And I think of, I was trying to find the quote, Sarah, from your book that you shared a couple weeks ago, but you just really encouraged us to inventory where our heart is moved to compassion. And this was that place for me. And my heart was so moved by their situation and by just the beautiful work my friends were already doing. I was so inspired by their sacrifice and their commitment to their own people. So I wanted to come alongside, and I just said, what is it that you need the most? And I frankly kind of expected them to say we need money, because that seems to always be the answer right away when people are coming out of really extreme loss and suffering. But they didn't. They said we need education and we need jobs. And so the jobs piece really rang out in my mind of, that makes sense. Like, if we can help people have a consistent source of steady income, then we can allow them to be able to do for themselves the things that so many charities are trying to do for people. Like, they will be able to pay their own school fees for their children. They will be able to access clean water and nutritious food. They will be able to build safe and secure homes for their families. They will be able to clothe their children. And really, they need a dignified, fair income to come their way. Yeah. So I said yes to that. I want to figure out how to do that. And that was like the beginning of my journey with all of this. I was 26, again, no training in this, nothing. So that's where we started. And we started with a jewelry project with them, because that's what we had seen others doing successfully at the time, and helped provide training and equipment and initial seed money for them to launch this bamboo jewelry business, because they could make everything by hand. And then 7 months later, I tell this story, we got a shipment of really ugly bamboo jewelry that we've been all of our friends and family who very generously supported us. And we investing that into their community, and the product got better and better. And that eventually grew into a fair trade business that I had run for the last 11 years and just released this last September. But anyhow, that was the beginning with that community. And then whenever we had been doing that for about 4 years, we kind of noticed that there were still some gaps in the progress that we had hoped to see in that community as far as ownership of their own businesses. And really, it was because we hadn't equipped them to be able to be business owners. We had equipped them to be artisans or producers. So they had a skill and they were selling it to us and earning a fair wage, and their lives were improving, but they weren't running it like their own business. And that gave us pause, because what if something happened to us and we're no longer able to buy their jewelry, or the market dried up for that? So that's where we decided to start looking into business training opportunities. And it was such our first training was a total sellout, like blockbuster event. We said we had room for 35 people and we showed up and there were 59 people crammed into the tiniest, hottest little room. You couldn't even move in there. And they had gotten there 2 hours before us because they were so eager for this kind of knowledge. And from that first business training, 17 people started businesses that were still in existence a year later when we came back, and we're allowing them to increase their income by up to 400%. And so that was so encouraging and inspiring to me, that just a little bit of knowledge could go so far. And that really knowledge does produce power in people. It empowers people to go after their dreams. And so that's what I wanted to do more of. So we started creating our own materials after that point. We had licensed the first from another organization, but we wanted to be able to do it more and do it in different places around the world. And so that's when we started trying to figure out how we could develop this material ourselves and make it accessible to as many people as possible. So I've gone back to that community now, I think 10 times. And the last time I was there was last February. And I think I'll be there again in January. And I hadn't been there for 4 years when I came back in January, and I had no idea what to expect. And they have grown so, so much. But the story I'm finally getting around to telling is this man named Richard, not the Richard who founded the farm, but another Richard. He has been employed at the farm by my friend Richard, and he's one of his right-hand men on the farm. But I had no idea really what had transpired in his life until the last day. I'd been there for a week. I'd done a whole nother business training and had been hanging out with a lot of people. And the last day he said, "Sarah, I know you're leaving, but I need you to come visit my home," which is always the biggest honor, to be invited to someone's home. And he led me to his place, which is a mile down through the bush. And I'm walking through the bush on a narrow one single track dirt path surrounded by cornfields and huts and farm animals and goats. And I get to his house and his wife is sitting there, and out of nowhere, completely rising out of the wilderness of northern Uganda, is this beautiful 4-bedroom concrete home with electricity and a tin roof and doors and windows, the whole bit. And there's nothing like it for miles around. And he sits me on, or she actually, because he was working, she was there to receive me. And in broken English, she explained to me, she said, "Sarah, you taught us how to save, and we saved diligently for this house, and we were able to build this house because we were faithful to steward what God had given us through our jobs." And she proudly turned on the lights and showed me the power that lit up the single bulb hanging from the ceiling, and was just so, so very proud to show what they had been able to build for themselves, because they had been diligent and they had taken this simple principle of saving something small from everything you get, and they had done it intentionally with a plan, and they had been able to build their own home, their own beautiful home for their children as a result. So I was so encouraged and couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just complete transformation, and so different from what I saw in the lives of others around me who hadn't been applying the same principles. So,
oh my gosh,
them, and honored to be able to see it, because you don't always get to see the fruit of a seed that's planted, but you plant it anyway in hopes that there will be fruit.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, and so to connect with the story of your love and just your return 10 times to Uganda. So one of our many mutual soul sister friends is Brandy Lee, who's I mentioned a minute ago, and she's co-founder of Beauty Fresh's Uganda. And actually, we have in the write-up, I want to make sure that y'all make sure that you go into the write-up, because there's a lot more information about Sarah and links to loop in with her and just go down the vortex of Sarah Ray and connect with her, because she's an amazing person. Also in that write-up is a link to our Seeds December fundraiser, which is, we're on our home stretch. Last I looked, we have just, I think, $250 to hit our goal, which is the home stretch of funding this trauma therapy with another soul sister of ours. Her organization is Tutapona. I'm going to be talking with her later today for those that can rejoin. But the other portion of what this fundraiser is funding is business training for the women of Beauty for Ashes Uganda, 1,230 of our sisters. And Sarah is the one that is going to be kind of bringing this training that she's been telling us about into this community. And because I know her, it's very much about, she has something to give, but she goes in ready to receive, and it's all about exchange, and it's just who you are and how you go about your work is just one of my favorite things to witness. So will you tell us a little bit about kind of, because it's a picture of how we come into our vocations through community sometimes, and we find kind of the next ways that we're able to serve in the world through collaboration and through really going it together. So will you talk a little bit about this really amazing launch of this training in January of 2020 in Uganda?
Absolutely. Yes. So Brandy, I'm sure that we could talk all day about who she is, but she is a connector, and similar to Sarah Davison-Tracy here. And she has connected so many of us women who are in this space of seeking freedom and empowerment on behalf of the marginalized around the world. And one of the ways she is specifically doing that this time is she is created a program called Heal and Thrive. And it's founded on this belief that we are really all meant for abundant life. We're all meant to know how truly worthy and how loved we are. And there are things that at times get in the way of that message, whether that is a physical form of bondage that many around the world are facing today, whether that be modern day slavery, or that be indentured labor, or that be sweatshop labor. It can look a million different ways, or whether we're in mental or emotional bondage or captivity as a result of traumas that we have faced, or lies we have been told about who we are and our identity that we have believed. And so we're together partnering with her and with Tutapana. We are coming together and seeking to create more freedom for women in Uganda so that they can know the reality of how worthy they are to be loved, and they can receive the kind of, through Tutapona, they'll receive trauma and healing. Trauma therapy, I guess, is probably the best word for that. Trauma therapy and healing that has been proven to reduce the symptoms of PTSD by 60%. And really the dream there is that these women, as they find their freedom and are more liberated in knowing just how beloved they are, that will set them up to be able to pursue the next phase of life, which is pursuing more sustainability in just their day-to-day finances. And so we want to equip them with business training, because again, it's just another tool that can be used to help people find economic freedom, and to help these women in starting small businesses that do relieve that burden that they carry, that is a heavy, heavy burden every day of, how will I feed my children today? How will I keep them safe? How will I pay for their school fees so they can have a better life than the one that I have lived? So we're partnering together to see these women heal and thrive. And that is our great, great hope and our great prayer as we go forth in this endeavor. And we're so thankful to the Seeds community for helping to fund this. It's amazing, the generosity of this community making this work possible.
Yeah. It's such a cool thing to be able to, it is both a blessing to see the ways people are so generous, and it's also, it just feels good to be able to be a part work in the world that is making this kind of a difference. So it's both, it's an honor. The honor is like honor upon honor. And the winds just kind of keep on going. So so I want to hear from you. So as you shared your story, I want to make sure people hear that, Sarah was a religious studies major, and then really just has this passion for the world and for travel and for really just being with people all around the world. And set out for Uganda, like you did not set out to become an entrepreneur and to be writing curriculum and to be sharing these tools the way that you do now. But it's just, I just want to underscore, because it's too easy when we zoom out and we look at someone who's doing amazing things as you are, to be able to be like, she must have just had this blueprint given to her, and it's easy peasy for Sarah Ray. And I know you have worked hard, you've discerned, really listened to, your faith is so vital, I know, in your story and the way you make your way in life. So you've had many conversations with God about, asking what's next for you. And you've cultivated a community and you have made your way step by step. So I just want to make sure that for those of you that are also feeling like in the middle of the story and don't feel like how things look and how, maybe even asking some of the same questions, like how can my gifts and my loves in the world make a difference, and really make life better for folks. Keep asking the questions, keep looping in with us, with people that you can bounce ideas around, and just don't go it alone is my big ask and invitation. So Sarah, will you talk a little bit about kind of, what would you say as you are find yourself in the confusing middle parts of the story, or, struggle with seeing the hopelessness of people that you love in the world, the struggle of people who are truly enslaved and are truly dying because of lack of food and lack of security in their lives. What is something that you would say brings you hope and brings you peace to keep coming back and doing what you do?
Yeah, that's so good. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
We do. We live in a world that is hurting and broken in many ways, in the same way that almost in equal measure there is joy and beauty and life. And
yes.
So I think that the only place for me, because I do have days where I am overwhelmed by the darkness that I see. And it can feel almost futile sometimes to keep pushing against it when it seems big. And I know that for me, it is my faith that grounds me, that I have to come back to and say, I really believe in a better world. And as I'm reading this new book called Love Anyway, some of you may have heard, it's really wonderful.
And we have the link in the write-up, so check it out. Okay. It looks amazing.
It's encouraging me a lot right now. And one of the phrases in there is the belief in a more beautiful world. I believe that more beautiful world is here and now, and I believe that we are each made to participate in it and cultivate it and to spread it, to take it further into the reaches of places where maybe it hasn't been realized yet. And my hope is in the fact that I believe we get to partner with a God that is much bigger than us, and much more capable in the areas that we are weak or needy or incapable. I believe that God is strong and powerful and beautiful. And so on the days that am tempted to despair, really have to go back into the hope of what I believe can be someday, and visualize that more beautiful world, and then ask for God to show me the pathway to step into that in a small way today. And a lot of times this looks like being present in the moment of where I am today, because I'm not always in Uganda or Pakistan or Costa Rica, or I'm here with my son, or doing kind of the day-to-day life. I'm in front of a computer screen. So to me, it's asking God, okay, how can I be present today with the people that are right in front of me? And how can I cultivate love and beauty and gratitude in the midst of those relationships? And then believe that little by little, as we all are doing that together, the world does become better around us, and that beauty does spread to those who haven't maybe been experiencing it in the same way. So I just think it starts small, and it's consistent, everyday acts of love and generosity and presence and gratitude that then start to create change that ripples outward. And then following that path, following that, as you've said, Sarah, that compassion and seeing where it leads us. So maybe it starts in our family or in our home or in our friendships or our networks or our workplace. And then it leads us to the person standing on a street corner who's cold and hungry, or it leads us to get on an airplane and go to a community that is struggling, or it leads us to our local food pantry, or to the single parented family next door, but as we practice it, it gets easier to make it part of our day to day.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
So as we have just our last couple minutes here, I want to kind of take that thread that Sarah just shared. So, thank you. I'm going to definitely go back and listen to that again myself. I love that. But I want to invite those of you who are listening to and watching to really take one seed, one story, one nugget of something that pricked your heart, that piqued your attention, that Sarah talked about, and just take a moment, take a place of pause before the day races on, and really ask, what is meant for me in this, and what might I do? What could I do? Like Sarah said, it does not have to be the big thing. It could be the little step, the small act. But the reason that we always invite some kind of step coming out of soulful inspiration, this stuff, like the stuff of destiny we're talking about, is because I think it helps us to feel like things we're moving in the direction, with the energy, with the purpose that just fuels more. So please consider and post in the comments, share with a live person in your world, private message Sarah and or me if you're in our networks, and just make sure that you are witnessed as to what is cooking, so that you have people that can be like, do you remember what you said on December 17th and what you heard from that really cool lady, Sarah? So please make sure that you kind of continue with that the place of pause around kind of soulful, inspired action. And then the other thing that we always want to make sure that we say and that you feel is, for those that are, if you are finding yourself in a dark night of the soul, or a really challenging place yourself, please don't go it alone, and please reach out to Sarah or me or someone in your network, and take that thread of the vitality of the vitalness of this human connection, especially when we're in the dark places. And please, we hope that if that is you, that you found a glimmer of hope, of light, or a big fat glow of it. That would be awesome to hear in this conversation, because we're all in such different places in our journey, and wherever you are matters so much. And we just want to make sure that you feel that sense of worthiness that Sarah was talking about in who you are, and wherever you are in the world and whatever is happening to you right now. So before we wrap up, I want to just invite my sister to share one last seed of something, a Sarah seed, that we can take into our days and keep popping with, taking our places and pause with. What's like cooking in you to share in closing here?
I want to just encourage every person that is listening, whether you are currently in your dream vocation or whether you are finding your way or en route of a pivot, that you would inventory who you've been made to be and take note of the beautiful, unique passions that drive you, and the compassions that break your heart, and the things that motivate you and bring you joy and delight and hope and cause you to rise up out of your chair, that those things are in you for such an important reason. And we need those things in our world from each one of you, and we want them. So my seed would be to encourage you to believe wholeheartedly in those beautiful pieces of yourself that are gifts, that are for you, and they're for the rest of us that are around you. And would you be bold and courageous in one small way and release one of those gifts to another person today or this week or next week? Would you step out and offer that beautiful piece of yourself to another in a small way? And if you have this deep simmering idea that has stuck with you for years, and you wanna step out into that path, but you don't quite know how, I would encourage you that has been a part of you for a long time for a reason. And I would love to see you step into that vocation or that passion. And if I can help in any way by getting on a phone call or having coffee, if Sarah can help, I know she would love to do that too, because we love seeing people live fully alive, soulfully ablaze. And we would love to see you step into that dream. And if we can help you along the way with encouragement or connections, we would love to do that.
Yes, that's awesome. And what a cool, kind of take that as a nugget as you close out 2019. This is such a perfect time that we're hearing it all over the place, kind of like, especially as we approach the new year. And what a cool, if we can just take the wisdom of that and the energy of that and the blessing of that into the launch of our new year. What it just would make such a difference in our individual lives and collectively. So thank you for that. And to y'all that join, we are so glad that you are with us. Life is just better together. And we wish you, for those that are celebrating Christmas and the holidays, we wish you a beautiful holiday season and beautiful start to 2020. And let's just find ways to go it together more and more. And we always want to wrap with this reminder that you are loved and that you belong here, that we belong to each other, and this call to stand tall and live ablaze and light up the world. So we love you guys, and can't wait to see you again. Bye.
Bye.